Good afternoon, superstar. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for the videos. I see you sent me some more this morning from the course, which I'm really interested to look at. I know you didn't quite score what we want to yet, but yeah, obviously after a break and not being sharp enough, that's absolutely fine where we're at. Okay, so don't worry too much about that. Also, don't worry about taking breaks. Okay, golf is your life, it's your job. You want to play on tour or play competitive golf. And you're doing golf every day, okay, it's completely fine to take a little break. Okay, so you mustn't feel bad about that. Trust yourself, trust your ability, trust us and our processes that it doesn't matter after a break. It's not like we're going to forget how to swing. We'll get you swinging well again. And each time you do it, obviously, it's quicker and quicker and quicker. Okay, so it's good to take some breaks and get that passion and passion back for practicing and stuff. So you mustn't stress about it. Okay. Right, so from the reviews, they're quite long and quite in-depth reviews, obviously, because we haven't had a review for a few weeks or whatever, but more so because there was so much good and then just a little bit of scrappiness. And nothing, apart from that backswing, nothing really consistently wrong. It was just kind of a little bit off here, a little bit off there, a little bit off there. So it was nothing definite, okay? So you don't have to stress about it. I'm just pointing out as to why so many things are good, but not quite getting the strikes and the flights that you want. Okay, so that's why we're not. And then we need to essentially isolate apart possibly from that early release. Okay, that's probably sort of a very much an issue. Okay, and that's also where some of the inconsistency is coming from. So that's where we're at. I like a lot of it. Swing plane, brilliant. Okay, yes, the backswing's a little bit offline, and we got a little sort of lean here with the shoulder, getting a little bit of extension going on here. But you're working so hard in that transition, you are getting back on plane, and you can see from the delivery, you are getting on line. You are getting the swing path correct, so you don't have to stress about it. Quite a few, like the hybrid and stuff, quite a few where you're getting the club face, like I think it's still a bit open here, but we can deal with that long term. I think you're getting that club face square quite early, so that's really, really cool. Okay, so look, releasing does help square the club face, but really what you want is you want the club face already square here, and then you just release through the golf ball. You don't want to be releasing and sort of rotating the club face square at the same time. Okay, because that's where you can sneak into an early release, because trying so hard to stall your body and get the club face square. All right, so club face is actually in a pretty good position coming in. We just need the same positions and the same plane, okay, with a much later release. Okay, just touching on that quickly as well, that gap wedge. What a beautiful move. Look, the move in the rehearsal is a little bit better than the actual move, but you're there with the gap wedge. You're right there. It's just that it's released over here. Okay, well, you got to get that handle forward and releasing nice and late. Okay, so yeah, pretty happy with all of that. So very well done, and just gonna tweak. So we're gonna leave the backswing for now, because if it's a little bit offline where it is and you're working that hard on the downswing, if you release nicely, you should get some pushes and push draws. Okay, so I just want to leave that for a couple of weeks. We can always get back to the backswing a little bit later. It's easy enough to fix. So predominantly our session is about that snappiness and that late release. Okay. Also, why I was so pedantic a few months ago about getting this soft at the top. Okay, because I could, tell it was going to become an issue once we were swinging online. Anyway, swinging online, very happy. So where we at? Okay, so we're just going to do these little draws to soften the hands and learn the late release. That's basically what we're going to do. Okay, so warm up is opposite direction draw. All right, so exactly as it sounds, and then you can sort of lengthen as you go. But basically what we want sort of shoulders, arms and club sort of driving that backswing, all right? And then while you're going back, okay, we want the legs and the hips to go in the opposite direction. So we want upper body going that way, lower body going towards the target. Okay, and then you can sort of lengthen it as you go. So you start going a little bit later with the hips as you get into the draw. Okay, so upper body going back. Okay, you can see how early the hips went there. Very short swing. Okay, so shoulders and club going this way. Feet and hips going towards the target. Okay, opposite direction. Okay, and then as you get the feel for it, go further back. So now I'm going to go further back before I go with the hips. But when I'm going with the hips, I'm going to keep going on the backswing. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay. Right, and you get this sort of whip, slingshot effect. That's really what you're after. Okay, and you can just build it up as you go. Okay, and so you build it and build it and build it. Okay, and then I want you to do some punches, please. Now do your punches with some soft hands. Not too many, but with some soft hands. Okay, you can use anything from 5-iron. I don't think you have a 4-iron, but you can use 5-iron or hybrid. Maybe 6-iron to do your punches. But slightly narrower than full 5 or hybrid stance. Slightly narrower, but ball off the right toe. Okay, and then handle in line with the left leg. Okay, try and be nice and soft. All right, and whatever backswing you make, the follow through has got to be shorter. So sort of 3/4 backswing, okay, and then a really short follow through. Okay, so just narrow the normal, ball off the right toe, handle forward, nice and soft in the hands. 3/4 and hold off that follow through. Okay, obviously a good shot to have, right? Somewhere close to a knockdown shot if you change the stance ball position slightly in the club, slightly, so very close to that. But obviously we're doing it to learn to get the handle forward, get ahead of the golf ball when we need to. Okay, right. Then first drill is release point drill. Okay, now release point is a little bit relative to the club you're using, your ball position, and matching your back tilt. Okay, and then obviously your speed, your particular speed. We don't know exactly. What we do know is we want the release point to always feel the same to us, even though it's not always the same relative to the ball. Feel the same to us. And we want to feel right now like we're releasing the club somewhere here, about 1.5 to 2 foot in front of the golf ball. So we don't want to release the club at the golf ball. We want to release the club just after the golf ball, somewhere there. Okay, so release point drill, what we do, and preset our release point. So that's, our release point is the point where the right wrist returns to flat and both arms are extended. You see that, that's the release point. Okay, so that's the maximum width and leverage of my circle. It must be after the golf ball, generally speaking. Okay, so we preset the release point about there, swing back, and try and return or release or feel that same position. Okay. Right, so I want to release it over here. Okay, start there, back we go. Because I was trying so hard to release that, I didn't even actually finish my follow through. That is absolutely fine for release point drill. Okay, you can see a slightly lower flighted, but lovely struck golf shot. Okay, yours at first obviously won't be. Okay, and just kind of figure it out. All right, and then the second drill, what we call space drill. Okay, it's just a thought process. Okay, it's just creating a little bit of space here. The focus for you is on the downswing, is keeping the hips back. Okay, you only have to do this with sort of the long clubs. Okay, I wouldn't worry too much. Do it at the end of your session with a few drivers and hybrids. Okay, but basically no sliding closer to the ball, getting that swing path a little outside. Okay, so you just hit some balls, keeping your hips back, keeping space through the hit here. Okay, so just in here. Okay, keeping some space in here. Right, less important. Okay, I just want you to do a few at the end of the session. I just want to see them and see what they look like. All for us now about learning to square that face, but hold the leg and learn to release the club comfortably there, not here. Okay, that's our big focus at the moment. We want to do it with good sequencing. So allowing the legs to take us most of the way there. All right. Thank you, my superstar. Have fun. Enjoy these drills for this week, and obviously probably do the same next week. We'll see how the videos are. But enjoy these. These are fun. These are more athletic feel ball striking drills. Okay, so enjoy them, and I'll talk to you during the week. Okay.